Today's video is something that I would like to revisit again, maybe 5 to 10 years from now, provided I'm still alive, and validate it with the advances made in the field of AI or artificial intelligence, and its relationship to consciousness or sentiency or awareness. Because in this video, I'm going to make some predictions and give my perspectives around AI, consciousness, divinity, our individual self, or as they call the Atma, and the overall implications against the backdrop of the Gita and the Upanishads. When the world of generative AI became widespread around 18 months ago, I started using ChatGPT in its limited preview, and then I went full-fledged with the Bing Enterprise, the AI chat capability in the Microsoft browser. I still remember my first experience of using these capabilities, and it was just miraculous. It really grabbed my attention for two main reasons. Number one, for the capabilities and benefits it would have for the common person, the consumers, the corporations, and just in our own daily life. Secondly, being a student of the Gita and the Upanishads, I began to dig deeper on what does artificial intelligence mean as it relates to consciousness, the workings of the brain, and how should one look at AI from a lens of faith and devotion, and how should one correlate that with the teachings of Gita and Upanishad. Now, I know I've used a few technical terms already. Let me just take a couple of minutes to set the stage on those terms, and then we'll get into the discussion of the main topic. AI, as you know, stands for artificial intelligence, or using computers to become the source of taking large volumes of data and generating valuable information insights. AI has been around for a long time, almost from the 50s and the 60s. The widespread usage of it and the impact to our daily life came later though. And in fact, I wanted to do my PhD in AI in the 90s and got into the prestigious Asian Institute of Technology in Bangkok, Thailand. But of course, choose to not take it and instead come to the US. And the rest, as they say, is history. While AI has been around, what is different in the last 18 months or so, which has changed our world, is the advent of generative AI based on what they call large language models. Basically, in simple terms, it means a type of artificial intelligence that can create new content such as text, images, videos, audio, or even software code in response to prompts that are given in a plain natural language like English. This technology relies on sophisticated learning models which simulate the learning and the decision-making processes of the human brain. Generative AI models learn the patterns and the structures from the vast amount of data during their training phase. Once trained, they can generate new data based on the input data that they were trained on and the prompts that you give. If you go to a browser like Bing and use the Copilot for generative AI capability of the browser, you can ask a question in simple English. And then that platform magically accesses the universe of information and can generate new data to to respond to your prompt or question. Try it out if you haven't done it already. Now, for a spiritual student like me, bringing back to the topic, the main topic of this video, now for a spiritual student like me, this is where it becomes interesting. As AI now gives us further insights into spirituality, divinity, and helps us understand the message of Gita and the Upanishads even better. The Hindu philosophies based on the Gita and the Upanishads say that we are made up of two components: a gross body and a subtle body, or as they say in the Sanskrit language, the sthula sharira or the gross body and the sukshma sharira or the subtle body. Now, as you all know, the gross body has a beginning and an end, meaning it comes to life and then dies one day. But the gross body is conscious of the information that it retrieves, acquires, inputs, and perceives through the subtle body or the sukshma sharira. Take a step back and look at it. In other words, we are nothing but a product of our memories that we gain access from and through the subtle body or the sukshma sharira. And this sukshma sharira does not have a beginning and end, but it is a continuum across life and death of the gross body. Hence, this subtle body or sukshma sharira is a vast storehouse of data collected and processed over multiple lives. For this subtle body or sukshma sharira to expose its information, you need this physical body or sthula sharira. Once this subtle body is attached to this physical body, now a prompt can be issued to the subtle body. And you issue the prompt through a thought. And then the subtle body gets to work and spits out information. This information that is spit out is again fresh input data for the subtle body or the sukshma sharira. So the next time I get a new thought, meaning give a new prompt, yet again the model gets to work and generates content. This content is your thoughts, the words you speak, the actions you take, and so on. By now, did you notice the similarity between generative AI and how our body works? In generative AI, you give a prompt, and based on the model and the input data, the software platform of AI goes and generates new information or content. Isn't that similar to how the sthula sharira or the gross body and the sukshma sharira or the subtle body work together? Through the physical body, you give a prompt, meaning through your thought, and then the sukshma sharira or the subtle body goes across the data, processes that, and gets you the information. And where did the sukshma sharira get its data in the first place? It is through all the data acquired, retrieved, created, inserted, perceived over multiple lives in this universe. Now, where does the public generative AI on the internet gets its data from? It is through all the data acquired, retrieved, created, inserted over multiple years. You can now see how much there are similarities between the generative AI capabilities and the interaction of the sthula sharira or the gross body and the sukshma sharira or the subtle body. In many ways, you could say our brain, the sense organs, or as they call it, the indriyas, process, predict, and create new information much like generative AI. This my friends, raises a very big question. Can generative AI at some point replace the functionality of the brain? In my view, probably not. Here is why. Number one, in the case of the Sukshma Sharira and the Sthula Sharira, which is the subtle body and the gross body, there is a key element in play, and that is consciousness, which gives you that presence, that awareness, the feelings, and the very sense of existence. Of course, in the case of AI, you know that they don't have that. But this difference between the two exists in the first place since consciousness is not a separate element, but it is integral to the fundamental elements like the elements of earth, air, fire, water, and space. Whether computers or humans, we all have emerged from these base elements. But within us is embedded the element of consciousness, and that makes us sentient, but not computers. The second big difference is that in your case, there is life energy itself, or prana, that pours life into the physical body, which of course is absent in the computers generating AI. By the way, I covered about life energy and supreme energy in a video called What Does God Do All Day and God's Daily Purpose? You can check that out. The third big difference is through the physical body, we have other physiological aspects that, as you know, is not possible for a machine. Physiological aspects is everything: procreation, reproduction, daily activity, and all of that. Now, since this Sthula and Sukshma Sharira combination has some components like generative AI, it teaches us that the data we store and the model we create and train here, meaning the thoughts we think and the input that we take, do matter. It teaches us that we should be selective and intentional in the type of information we acquire and the thoughts we process. Because when the Sukshma Sharira or the subtle body accesses good quality data, then it creates good new quality information, which then, as I explained earlier, again feeds back to the Sukshma Sharira and makes us and our life a better one. Now, the great seers who gave us the Upanishads and the Gita defined to us this Sukshma and Sthula Sharira combination. But more importantly, they define to us how do you get out of this information creation process. The Ishavasya Upanishad, probably the most significant of the Upanishads, in its last verse gives out a secret that a spiritual person on the highest level of learning gets out of this rut of information creation by annihilating or burning the storehouse of data and information. And that spiritual person does it either while living or at death, but through one simple means: pure devotion. When that happens, then there is a merger with the divine, and then what remains is only that base element of consciousness that I described earlier, which is so pure that it becomes one with the cosmos. That is what's called liberation, freedom, or moksha. Now, before I close, I want to go back to where I started, where I want to make some predictions or give some perspectives on the intersection of Gen AI, consciousness, divinity, our individual self or Atma, and the overall implications against the backdrop of the Gita and the Upanishads. Precisely why I do want to revisit this video in a few years from now and see how much of that has been validated. Now, here is what I think will happen. Generative AI will keep evolving, and AI systems will move much more to create an experience that becomes human-like, giving us the perception that AI systems probably have awareness and can understand our feelings. Since computational capabilities will massively develop, we may end up seeing modular capabilities that could demonstrate a consciousness-like awareness, meaning in a narrow segment for a particular task, we may end up finding that AI-based systems are so powerful that they come close to human capabilities of intelligent decision making. And they would do so factoring in sense perceptions of humans. And you may end up then saying that these AI systems have a lighter version of consciousness. The third prediction, AI systems will not possess or achieve holistic subjective experiences to achieve true consciousness like we humans have. For the simple reason that consciousness is a fundamental element embedded in us versus with AI systems, it's a trained element. And the fourth and lastly, AI systems are here to serve us as an enabler. They are like a co-pilot and not in any way or form become the main pilot or take over the human itself. There's some great things coming out of AI. AI has demonstrated in reality how our gross and subtle body interacts and integrates. It surely is there as an enabler, but in itself is not conscious. And for sure, for all those doubters, it's not making divinity an obsolete abstraction. I hope this video was insightful to us. I'll talk to you soon. Till then, stay blessed, stay healthy.